This is the craziest challenge I've ever put on myself. And as you can see in the chaos I'm working here, I try my best to accomplish it, and you can be a part of it. Hello YouTube, my name is Marcus. I'm a professional miniature painter, but I'm also a wargamer. I like to paint for Golden Demon, but in this case, I really try to convert the Golden Demon quality that I'm aiming for to a full Custodes army, and all that within just 3 months. So is that even possible? Because I kind of fell in love with that style of painting while I'm doing it, and then I thought I should paint for the competition October, Golden Demon Essen, but I also want to play the Warhammer Open in Newport. I saw that event popping up on my timeline, and I immediately booked it with my friends, and we are going there. But we have to fly to London for that. And my current army is a Tau army, and this army is kind of huge. Massive models, a lot of them. I play auxiliary color, which is over 100 models, and a lot of crews, and I don't want to carry that in the plane to Newport. So I thought, what's the best possible travel army I can imagine, and also kind of like to play, of course. It's Custodes. They got new models, and in that case, it's not Warhammer 40k models, but they get very perfectly matching miniatures in the Horus Heresy range, and I bought them. And now the question is, from this 25 hours result of that shield, I want to go down on 3 hours for a full model. And after 10,000s of people watching my Instagram reels of how I paint those non-metallic metal, and I cannot count how many people ask me for actual tutorial, I thought it's time, sit down, make a mess and a chaos, and film the process of me doing my non-metallic metal. And I tried to keep it as simple and precise as possible for you to replicate my way of painting non-metallic metal, and I really hope you have a lot of fun. This will not be my last tutorial about that, but I hope you follow me on a journey of finishing actually the whole army until August, and of course I will also take you with me to Newport, and of course how I will play with that Custodes army in the 11th edition of Warhammer 40k. But enough talking, I know you are here for the tutorial, so let's get into it. It's prime time. I primed my miniature with airbrush, and I used black red from AK. You can also use a brush. Very important, it should be warm, saturated, because then it's easy to paint on, and that's why I like the black red. Here you see my reference model. The model I want to paint for Golden Demon. I painted 25 hours approximately on the shield to the left, and I want to show you what I thought while I painted it. Very important for me is that all the most important factors are given, which means I like to have warm and saturated parts, but I also like very bright parts of yellow, but also sometimes some desaturated parts like here. But the most important fact is the combination of dark and bright areas. That together sells your non-metallic metal the best. You can see it in all the little details. You can see it in every little dot that I did, that I try to maintain all the most important factors, which is saturation, contrast, and of course the color that you want to give it. In that case, it's old gold. But let's talk about the reflection. This is not random. You want to have your brightest reflection, the main reflections, second brightest for the secondary reflection, and a little reflection as your tertiary reflection. But on top, you need saturation and desaturation. Saturation for me, most of the time, is on the top areas, and desaturation on the bottom areas. Let's have a quick look at the quality. As you can see, it is not that smooth, because the smoother you get, the higher the quality will be. But also, you will lose the look of that old and rough gold. So choose what's the best for you. I hate to do it, but of course I have to do a little bit of an advertisement. In that case, for myself and for our gaming event. Every summer in July, we are hosting the biggest tabletop event in Vienna. Last year, we had over 200 people. And this year, it will get even more crazy. We made it happen to not just have tournaments, we also will have workshop rooms. So if you're interested in maybe that guy or that guy, I think you should really check out our website, Summer Major Vienna. We are running Warhammer 40k tournaments, Underworlds. We are running also niche systems, workshops. We have gaming booths there. This is a full convention with 30,000 plus people. So check it out, and I see you there. But enough theory. We are going in by setting the volumes. As you can see, it's a very nice primed model. And my most important color on that recipe is deep brown. I set the volumes with it. As you can see, I'm not overdoing it. So the whole style I'm doing is very explorative. I want to have very nice highlights. I want to have a lot of shadow. So I'm not overdoing the highlights because I don't want to lose that contrast. If you ask yourself, why do I set the highlights like I do, is very simple. It's a free creative way of painting, but with some restrictions. Follow the shape of the object. Don't repeat the same size of the highlights on the same area. So keep it a little bit vague, keep a variety on it, and try to make it look interesting. Take your time, step back from the model, maybe for a few seconds. Like this, I check it out, where are some highlights missing, but don't overdo it. It's very important. What I see a lot is that people really love to do highlights, but at the end, it will be too bright, it will be too much, and it will lose the contrast. After we set our volumes, we highlight those volumes. In that case, I use third generation orange brown, one of my favorite brown tones. It's so bright and it's so saturated, you can really use it as a perfect base for gold. And as you can see, I almost cover everything of the volume. This is very important. You almost cover everything. You don't cover the full volume because why should you do it then? But you can also see how easy it is to work on that black-red primer. I barely need 2 or more layers. I think 2 layers is fine. Keep your color or keep your paint moist, so don't overdo it because at the end we will have plenty of layers on that model. So if it's now too thick, as you can see, I always re-dilute it. If it's too thick, you will have the problem with a very uneven finish at the end. So try to keep it as smooth as possible. And after that, we are pushing the contrast with a 50-50 mix of deep yellow and that orange brown. And as you can see, we haven't used ivory, we haven't used white or something. And the highlights are already popping a little bit, so keep in mind we are also going deeper in the shadow, so don't overdo the brightness on your volumes. Because going too bright, too fast can cause errors of losing saturation, losing the color you want, so it can look a little bit dull. And also, losing your base color always makes your model look a little bit artificial because you want to show that bright orangey look. And after that, we are going up on a strong highlight. You can see this is still not a lot of ivory, and that paint will pop a lot. This is one of my favorite steps. You can really see where the journey is going, and also this is the first step where I think you should really take your time. Take your time to find the volumes, take your time to make the first little lines, and take the time to start with the edges. As you can see here, I'm very precise on the smooth areas like the edges, and I'm a little bit more rough and creative on the more delicate areas. And as you can see here, it's very, very important that only if you did it already doesn't mean that you're done. So in that case, especially the brighter I get, the more moisture I put in my paint. So sometimes I have to do 2 or 3 layers, sometimes even more. But very important is that layers should be also opaque. So it doesn't make a difference if you do it multiple times, but it makes a difference if you do it not enough. And as you can see here, I focus a lot now on details. First steps are super rough, but now I go a little bit more into detail, as you can see. And I really think that's the part where most people really enjoy painting, where you have those small lines. I really like to do it, but also, of course, it takes a lot of time. And here you see the end result of that step. It really makes the first big difference, but it doesn't really look nice. It looks a little bit artificial, not so fun, a little bit rough. So what we do now is we make a little mix of the browns, yellows, and a little bit of the ivory, dilute it down to a glaze consistency, and try to hit the areas where you think it has to be a little bit of a blending. You know, it is for a gaming miniature, it should be not taking forever, but a little bit of blending is always fine, and you can repeat that as often as you like. And as you can see already, as gentle, careful, and precise as you do it, the better the blending will be. This is very important if you want to have a nice result. But after that, we are going with a touch-up highlight color. So we dilute it also down a little bit and go over that highlights again, because sometimes with the blending process, you will lose a little bit of that contrast. So we are going over it again with a nice, smooth, and watered down paint to touch it up a little bit, because, you know, we're not robots. Sometimes you are not so precise. And then we already go to the shadow. I mix 50-50 of that AK inks to set the shadows. I really love them. They're glossy, but we can fix that later actually with a little bit of matte varnish. And as you can see here, they're very, very nice to work with. I mix always a little bit of a saturation in my black, and the pigmentation and the depth of that inks gives you the pop that you need for your non-metallic metal. And as you can see, it's very easy with those inks to set nice shadows. I really love that step. Take your time, try to make it as precise as possible. So try to hit all that little lines, try to hit the residues. You don't really want to wash afterwards, you want to set the shadows exactly how you like it. And this is exactly what I mean with creative explorational painting, because I set the shadows exactly how I like them and exactly how much I like them. And after that, shadows need a little bit character too. In that case, of course, we have a lot of red, brown, everything. So what I like to do is take black, green, and dull the shadows down a little bit. I give it a little bit of green. It gives it that look of super old gold. Don't do it too much, but a little bit. And after that, I use my highlight mix and mix also a little bit of green in it, because then I kind of like adjust my highlights to the same kind of like color combination of that greenish, almost grimdark gold style. And as you can see, it really built up a contrast already. I do some steps multiple times, so be careful. Only if you've done it already doesn't mean you are done. Try to figure out if it's opaque, if everything is where you want it, and don't stop before you're happy with every single step. And that's very important. But wait, there is more. We want to modify our shadows with orange. That's actually the character of my non-metallic metal, and I really like it. So in the shadows, sometimes just on the bottom edges of the shield, I like to add a little bit of orange. Burnt orange in combination with that ink is very much my thing. You can of course take whatever orange or like reddish tone you like. I don't want it too dark, because then it will lose itself in the shadows. I want to have it also visible from a little bit farther away. And as you can see, contrast is there, the saturation is there, and the highlights are there. And at the end, of course, the final highlights, those are really make your model pop. I take ivory, white mix. You can also put a little bit of yellow in it. And here you can do all that little dots, all that edge highlights. You can do some scratches. this is the creative part. I would always recommend focus on the most prominent parts. And of course, this is a simplification of my original technique where I take a lot of time for blending and everything. But as you can see, the result is not so far away. On the right side, we have 25 hours, and on the left side, we have maybe 2 hours. And this is basically what I love about that technique. It's more about the creative setting of highlights and play around with contrast. It's not just to finish everything super smooth, because that can also sometimes take away the character. And I like to have a little bit of character on my armies too, as well as all my Golden Demon entries. And here you see a little fast turnaround on my model, on all the other regions. As you can see here, it's actually very explorative. I love to work that way. I really can recommend doing as well. If you're not sure about the shapes, I would always recommend using, for example, work of other artists, or you can take, if you paint exactly the same model, feel free to copy it, or go on the internet, find some gold references, or maybe just play around on your model. I really encourage you to play around and do that grim dark gold look on your models. It's really satisfying. I really like the process. So I hope you also like the process. And of course, for YouTube, that's just a short video, but I think it shows my way of painting. And I already work on a longer tutorial for Patreon, where you see all of the model. So this was a small tutorial about how I do non-metallic metal. I hope you really like it. I hope I can finish that army. And of course, I will keep you updated. So make sure you follow and make sure you subscribe for my channel for the next video.